Right, hello and welcome back to another episode of 12 Yards Out. And today, got very happy to be joined by Mr. Chris Humphrey. Chris, how are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you.
Just to talk a bit about your career, probably our Scottish football-based clientele will be more accustomed to your spell hollow, but obviously you've did a wee bit more than that. I'll take you back to the start of it, sort of breaking into professional football at Shrewsbury as a senior pro.
No, that was at pro.
Was it not pro at Shrewsbury?
Yeah, it was League Two.
League Two? Yeah,
League Two. Got to two player finals there at Wembley as well with them. Lost both, but one was at 18. Came on for the last 20 minutes at Wembley, and then the second one I started and played 80 minutes. So I had a really good time at Shrewsbury and managed to, like I said, playing two playoff finals at Wembley, so it was brilliant.
We've spoke to a couple of people and sort of like contrasting sort of like the differences between like playing. We spoke to somebody who was in the Liverpool Academy and sort of how he found coming down to sort of League One, League Two was perhaps best for his development. Do you think it's best for your development?
Coming up to Scotland?
No, at Shrewsbury. Like,
I loved it. I was at West Brom through the ranks at West Brom, so it was good to me to go out and play some first team football, and they were getting rid of me because I'd had quite a bad injury at the time, so they told me that they were letting me go, and I played a reserve game for West Brom at the time to get myself fit, and we played Shrewsbury's first team as they'd not had a few games because of the weather. Played their first team, and then after that game, their manager said, "Look, can we possibly get him on loan?" And my reserve team manager said, "Look, we're letting him go, so it's one of them where he's free, and he can sign for you if he wants to." And I just remember going up and signing for them the next day. I think it was the best decision I ever made because I really enjoyed my time there. I got lots of game time and started to learn my trade really. And like I say, in the end, I ended up playing in two playoff finals.
Had they moved to the new stadium when you joined Shrewsbury, or were they still at the old Gay Meadow?
Yeah, they were still at Gay Meadow, which was a nightmare for me as a winger because it was like a beach, so running with the ball and stuff was a nightmare. So he had actually, at the time, it was Gary Peters who was manager, and he actually ended up saying to me, we're not going to play you at home because there's no point. So we had to play a certain way at home because all the flair players had no chance of doing what they do. And the time we had, I don't know if you've heard of him, but we had Derek Asamoah, frightening little player up front, absolutely scary on his day. And he never used to play at home either because we just couldn't do what we do, what we were good at. We used to look forward to away games to actually get a game, and then that was my first season, and then my second, third, and 3.5 we moved into the new stadium, and then that was brilliant for me, and that's when I started to really, really shine for Shrewsbury.
You'll usually explain what's the difference between the old ground and the new ground, because I'm too young to remember the old one.
The old ground was a very stereotypical old British ground. See your kind of Scottish League One, League Two stadiums.
Yeah.
Right.
Think of that, and then you're going to somewhere like Airdrie for a new one.
That's not too bad. You must have had a thing for playing on sandcastles then.
Yeah. The biggest problem was it had a river running around the back of the old ground. So whenever it drizzled, that used to burst its banks. So it used to pour onto the ground. And most of the time, the old ground was just flooded up to the goalposts near enough. And I always remember when I was there was pictures of people in boats and stuff on the pitch because that's how flooded it had got. But like I say, we very rarely ever got to play like a full months of games. It was always called off due to the pitch. But the one thing that was good about the pitch was we used to love sitting in the stands and waiting for the opposition to come, and then we used to watch them go out on the pitch. Before a game, you go and have a look at the pitch and stuff, and we'd already won because we'd have teams come there and like, oh, what's this? Moaning, kicking off the pitch and saying bubbly and all this. So we'd already won. The pitch used to get in people's minds straight away. But we used to love sitting out there and watching that. It used to give us a little bit of a incentive, a little bit more of a drive to to see them all disheartened already, like they've only just turned up. So I suppose that was one of the advantages of it.
I find that dead weird because we still, obviously, Mull had that for a bit. Obviously, the pitch took a battering both from criticism-wise and players on it. But even now, when we've got Hamilton and Livingston up here, they take an absolute torrid time of critics for their pitch, but it's actually probably one of their biggest strengths as respective clubs. So it's just a case of what you have, really, I suppose.
100%. And if you're a manager, especially when I've gone into this management game now, I remember when I was at Gretna and we were going to play Kelty Hearts at home. Barry Ferguson's Kelty Hearts, spent a bit of money, got nice players, like unbelievably technically good, everything. And I actually rang up my assistant the day before, a few days before, and I said, look, what do you think about telling them to absolutely drench the pitch, put divots in it and all that? Do you know what I mean? Just to try and throw them off in any way that you can, that you would do. And that was the same, I say, about the story about the Shrewsbury days, but that was exactly the same with Motherwell when I first went up there and the way that the pitch was. You know, when you used to see teams turn up to play on the pitch, you could just see them. They just didn't want to be there. They didn't want to play on it. It wasn't a nice, fancy pitch, you know. And look at the pitch now there. It's immaculate. So I doubt they'll have that problem now. People want to come to Motherwell and play on that pitch.
Obviously, I'll take you back to sort of when you first joined Mull. It was Jim Gannon, I'm fairly sure, right there.
Yeah.
I've heard contrasting things about him. From the outside looking in, Jim Gannon, great eye for a player, a bit of a screw loose.
Yeah. Listen, he was a massive screw loose, but you know what? For some reason, I loved playing for those sort of managers. And for me, you either have two types of players. They can either handle it or they can't. They either need a cuddle and a hug and an arm around them, or you can actually take that criticism, that in your face, swearing, shouting, trying to get you going. But that, for me, always used to work. And if I'm having a bad game, I used to always think in my head, well, I deserve that. I don't deserve him to come in and go, oh, don't worry about that. That's fine. We're in a professional game, you know. 3 points are on the line at the end of the day. His job's may be on the line if we've lost a few games. You know what I mean? So the emotion's going to be there. And I kind of, through my career, at the beginning it was, oh, he's shouting. But as you go through your career and you see more and more and more of it, it's not shouting, it's just emotion. And they want to win so much that this is what happens when you're not winning or that you've had a bad game and you've got to expect it. You know, Neil Lennon's one of the worst, and I had him at Hibs. But you know what? He'd be in your face half time, swearing, he's spitting, everything. But he's not angry. He's passionate. He wants to win. But after the game, whether win or lost, he'll come up to you and say, "Look, sorry about that, but I just want the best from you," you know. And then it's done. Like, it would never be grudges or anything. It's just part of the game, I suppose, isn't it?
I suppose, like, some of the players he brought in, especially in that first season, like Jennings, Haitley, Jukovic, John Ruddy, who have both went on to play sort of highest level down south. It seemed to be like he sort of put the foundations in place for like the managers that then went on, like Craig Brown, Stuart McCall, and the success they had. Yeah,
he was so good at that. He did it at Southport as well. You know, everywhere he's gone, he's laid a foundation. He's built an unbelievable squad, and like you say, that squad he built and the players he brought from England, all for free, was frightening. How he did it, I'll never know. Like you say, the John Ruddys and Geno, and we forget about Giles Coke. Giles Coke was an absolute footballer. His injuries let him down a little bit, but on his day, Giles Coke was one of the best I've seen in centre midfield. So, you know, he brought all these players up, and how he did it for free without paying fees for any of them is unbelievable. And like you say, great eye for talent and players. But hats off to him, because he really set the club up from the time that I was there for the next 2 to 3 years.
See, I think I heard as well, like, it was sort of good with sort of the players like brought in, but some of the senior ones, like sort of Keith Lasley and Stephen Craig and type players, perhaps less so.
Yeah, it was one of those characters though, Jim, where it's like Marmite, isn't it? You either like it or you don't. And he was one of those characters where, you know, not many people are going to get on with him. And no offence to the Scottish people, but they may not have seen that sort of character before, because down in England, near enough every manager's like that. Up in Scotland, with the different ones I've had with the Craig Browns and the Archie Knox, they say about Jim Gannon, but Archie Knox was worse. Archie Knox was an absolute nutcase.
Archie Knox once scared me selling him a toaster.
Oh, you explain that. Explain what you mean.
He's just such an intimidating man.
What about the toaster?
I was selling him a toaster. I worked in Comet and he was buying a toaster. And me being a Rangers fan, I was like, oh my God, it's Archie Knox. I'm having this. And oh my God, I nearly shit myself. He just has that kind of aura of, he's not an angry little man, but you can tell that he knows what he wants and he knows how to get what he wants.
100%. And he's another one where, where I guess where, again, it's not any of the English and the Scottish, but I guess that the more Scottish-based players took it off Archie, where they wouldn't take it off Jim. It's like, when Jim got fired, I have never seen a changing room so happy, partying. It was unbelievable. Walked in the change room the day that he got sacked, walked in, we're in the change room, we got told the news, the person that told us the news walked out, all the players were up on the benches, squirting water. It was like we'd won the SPL. No word of lie. It was like, and I'm a young boy just come to Scotland, and I'm thinking, wow, what is going on here? Like, do you know what I mean? What's going on? But that's how much they didn't like him, obviously.
That's what I heard, that basically there was just several incidents of and I think some of the senior players and they'd went sort of to the hierarchy and said, look, he needs to go here.
Yeah, and that's football. That's all part and parcel of football. And for me personally, I wasn't, not the name that I became at Motherwell, but I wasn't in with the lads then. I'd only just come. I'd only been there a few months, and then obviously I had my wife and I. Well, my wife lost a child, so if you remember, I was off for absolutely ages, about 3 months, because I was dealing with that down in Birmingham. So when I came back, I'd only played a few games, so I'd not really been in and around the change room to see really what was going on, or been a face in the changing room at the time. But that's why I think for me, Jim Gannon, I owe it all to him, because really he brought me up to Scotland and made me a different player. And like I say, when I was going through a really tough time, he was there. He sent flowers up to my wife and all those little touches that I'll never forget. So for me, I couldn't really say a bad word about the man, but you could see with his methods and how demanding he was on the pitch, and how angry he would get, like if your touch wasn't right, or you pinged the ball and it went out of play or whatever. That again, as you go through your career and learn that, you learn that it's just passion. It's just because it should be better. So why shouldn't he tell me that should be better? Do you know what I mean? But some players want to be told in a nicer way, I suppose, and that's okay. It's just some can handle that nitty gritty of it, and some can't. I just personally loved it when someone put a rocket under me and told me, "Come on," in a really aggressive way, because it made me go, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Let me do that." So that's on him. That he was, like I say, I owe it all to him, because without him, I wouldn't have gone to Motherwell and done what we did there.
Yeah, I don't think Jim Gannon's, in terms of a style of manager, I mean, I'm assuming some of the things that managers like him, you just can't get away with now. I don't know, did you sort of take things? I know you said you obviously took a lot from him. If you took anything from him into sort of your coach?
It was difficult, because at the time when I was there, I didn't really want to be a coach. In my head, when I retired in 20 years' time, I'd hope to, as every footballer does, I'd hope to have earned this money, and I would be all right, and I'd just live my life and be happy with my children and my wife, and then that would be it. But along the way, things changed with injuries and stuff, and then I started getting involved with like the youth team at Preston, and then my mindset changed massively. Like I was, I really enjoy this. I'd like to give this a go, and then that's when that really took from it. But with Jim Gannon, I suppose he was an unbelievable coach, and I'm sure that even every one of those players that got him out at the time or whatever had a bad word to say about him. They wouldn't, guarantee they wouldn't have a bad word to say about his coaching ability, because it was frightening. It was frightening, his coaching ability. And if you remember when he came, we played some unbelievable football as well. Played
brilliant.
some really good football.
Players like one player that I can always remember that seemed to do well under that, and his Mull career perhaps fell away after that, is Ross Forbes. Ross, ability-wise, is just unbelievable. But
one of the best left backs I've seen. Forbes.
It was that first, I think it might have been Gannon's first Premiership game against St Johnstone. The one he comes in for the life and just bends at top corner. Those sort of few months he was playing were just unbelievable. Then it must have been something Gannon was coaching into him, because after that his form just seemed to fall off a cliff a wee bit.
He was one though. That's one where you needed to cuddle him, you need to give him a hug, you needed to tell him everything would be all right. If he was having a bad game, you need to say, "Don't worry about that, mate. The next one, you'll be all right." Second half, that kind of approach, not the aggressive. "What are you doing? Come on!" Do you know what I mean? And that's part and parcel of being, I suppose, what I've learned from looking at the different managers I've had. Part and parcel of being a good manager now is that you can give the rollicking, but also you've got to do it in a nice way. Do you know what I mean? You've got to figure out your players who can take a rollicking and who can't. And then you've got to approach it differently. And that's what I've learned and took into management when I went to Gretna from a few managers, actually, that in the ways that they did it, I thought was amazing. And he was one where, he needed to be cuddled. And again, if you look, when we had Archie Knox, again, he didn't play much because again, that aggressive, approach to it. But then when we had Stuart McCall, he used to play a lot more because he was calm. I'm not saying he wouldn't relic us, but he was a lot calmer. He was a lot more understanding of his players. He used to come, he used to pull you in the office and really go through things if you weren't doing well or whatever, in a calm, nice way. Just a calmness about him. I think that everybody just loved Stuart, and that's why we did so much, because I think he rarely ever shouted. Even if we were playing rubbish and getting beat half time, he'd come in and he would just be, "Right, lads, come on, this isn't good enough." It would be all like that instead of in your face. So I think that's why we were so successful under him, because of the approach he took. And same as Craig Brown as well, I suppose. He was like a funny man, Craig Brown. Absolutely brilliant.
Is that something that, as a manager now, is it easy to kind of get the judge of which players need which treatment, and kind of this one needs a rocket and that one needs a cuddle? Is it easy to kind of pick that up from players?
It's I would say that you can pretty much tell. When I went to Gretna, I could tell within a week who would need it, who wouldn't, because I took my training scheme. Because I always said, when I took over there, I'd pull the players in a meeting. I said, "Look, I'm going to run this like it's a professional club. That's the only way I know to be, and will be the only way I know to manage, even though they're part-time and work." I just said to them, "If you don't like it, you can go, but trust me, you'll feel the benefits of it and you'll enjoy it, because I'll make it enjoyable as well. But I'm going to treat you like I would treat a full-time pro, because I think you have to be like that." And they really got into it. And first couple of training sessions, I could tell who would put it in the running and who wouldn't. I could tell straight away, when you're doing your five-a-side games, and as a player, if you're not doing well in those five-a-side games, your teammates are on you. They're on you, and they're letting you know, "Come on, that's not good." And then you can see from that whether he can take that, or whether he's arguing back, or whether you just don't see him, he doesn't want the ball anymore, or all these different things. And then you can kind of judge as a manager then. What I did is, right, okay, he can't handle his teammates having a rollicking at him. So if he does something poor, I'm going to have to approach it in a different way, or I'm going to just lose him. Some of these players are top players. And you need them performing on a Saturday. So you've got to find a way where, yes, you can get your point across, but on the other side of it is finding that way where he's going to respond well to it. And I suppose that's the most challenging thing as a player. And another thing I did when I first took over is I got the army in. So I got the army in for a Saturday, and they took training. Well, they did all the army circuits and all the different things that they do at the army with their lads. And before it, they said, what we normally do is when we do these sort of things is we'll give you a detailed list of who's going to let you down in a hard game and who's not. And I was like, wow, this is some serious stuff. Like, who's going to let me down? Not just who's not fit enough. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, okay. And at the end, they came up to me and said, there's one player there that he will let you down most Saturdays. The rest will fight for you. And I was like, right. And they said the name. Literally 2 weeks later, I let him go. Not because of that, but because he just couldn't hack it. So for me now, with that, I will always do that with the army now, because I thought that was a good gauge of looking at the lads doing something where they are massively out of their comfort zone, and who can actually like dig deep and try their best to complete it. And you know what? I was proud of every single one of those lads, because they were blowing and they were dying and they were crawling and everything, but they wouldn't give up. And it was as a manager, it was good to see.
Who else was it that did that? Was it Gary Caldwell at Thistle that did that? Yeah. The thing is, but he get a bit criticised for that, didn't he, at the time?
He took his squad to Aldershot, if I remember rightly, and essentially handed over like the whole of pre-season to them. And I think people were just like, it's a bit overkill, because I think they were just running them into the ground, basically.
Yeah. See, as a player in pre-season was the worst time for me. I hated running. Could never do long distance. Was never a long distance runner. More of a sprinter. So pre-season, I hated it. So when I obviously had my first managerial job at Gretna, I planned it around how I would have wanted to do it. So it was still very, very tough. But the balls were involved, and it wasn't such long running. It was more repetitive running, sprints, and I think the longest the lads ran was 2 minutes. But it was at a fast pace and stuff like that. And then obviously we got the army in, but it was only for a day. And they really, really bought into it for that day. And I more tried to get more games than just run them. Because for me, I used to get my fitness, no matter how much running I did in pre-season, I never got my fitness until I started playing games. That's where I got my match fitness. So I think we had 8 games pre-season, and really switched and swapped the team, the club, the players around. I managed to get a pre-season program that Preston had given their boys, the first team, to do. So I gave the lads that in the summer before they came back, and then yo-yo tested them when they came back. And I told them, look, if you don't get to level 19, you just run. Everyone else will be training, and you'll be running. Because if you think about it, I only had those lads 3 times a week in pre-season. And the last thing I want to do is waste my time running them and getting them fit for 3 weeks, when I could be doing important things like shape and how we're going to play and stuff like that. So they really bought onto it, and it was really good to see. And I was worried about that. I was worried about, are they going to think it's too much? They go to work from 9 to 5 and then come to training for me at 8, and I'm running them on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was a worry of how they'd take it, but they're massively bought onto it.
Don't I tell you who could run, by the way? And you'll obviously know, quickest player I have ever seen, Omar Daly. Do you remember him, James? Oh my God, I can mind he could run for ages, but like it was a game against like Kilmarnock or something, and like their right back, it might actually have been like James Fowler or Gary Hay, and they must have had at least 20 yards on him. Omar Daly is by him like an Olympics. Honestly, he is. Honestly, what a runner he was.
Oh, massive runner. I remember actually when I was, who was I playing for? Might have been Shrewsbury. When I was at it was Shrewsbury, because it was when he was at Bradford. So I was at Shrewsbury, and I remember I always used to stay up for corners because I was rubbish in the air. So I used to stay up for corners when it was corners against. And Omar Daly was on the edge of our box, and I was on the halfway line. So the corners come in, keepers caught it, threw it out to me. I've kind of done a bit of a move this way, that way, up the line, lost the defender that was on me, blew him, like running up the line. I'm thinking, yeah, no one's catching me. I'm in here. So I'm getting closer and closer to the goal. I'm buzzing, like no one's by me. All of a sudden, I just felt my legs go from underneath me. And it was Omar. Like, he chased me from the edge of the box, and there was that much gap. And he caught me. He was a joke. But that's when I realised, like, I wasn't fast. When I joined that Jamaica team, I realised I was slow. And people don't know
you're fast with the rest of them, because before he joined, you were easily the quickest person in that team.
Yeah, I was slow. When I joined that Jamaica team, I was slow. The slowest one there. And it was like, wow, these guys are a different breed.
That's crazy. Did you not just get a big 6'3" centre-half or something and just get him to kick it long over the top of the fences and stuff? You'd have been fine.
No, you know what? The Jamaica squad could play. We had some really technical, good players there. So they could play, you know. It would have been a good idea, though.
Not half. Went a wee bit off topic, but I mean, your Motherwell spell was sort of like the second season, really, where you properly kicked on, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I had a few problems the first season with Kerry and us losing the baby and everything like that. So I had a lot of stuff really going on as I moved there, which kind of killed me a little bit. And you know, and trying to get used to how the Scottish game is and everything like that. It's a lot more aggressive, I would say, than down south, or can be. And it was just getting used to those sort of things. And I think that come the second season, I'd also filled out a little bit. I was a lot fitter because I missed out a lot of fitness due to, again, with stuff that had happened. So I managed to, at the end of the first season I was there, after season I worked really hard, came back, and we had Kenny Black. Second season, no, we didn't. Can't remember who was the fitness guy then at the time, but I worked really hard through pre-season, and I was flying, so I got my opportunity and really took it. But I would say that my best seasons and when I played my best for Motherwell was under Stuart McCall by a country mile, and some of the players that we had was just a pleasure to play with. Like Nicky Law was probably, for me, one of the best players, if not the best player I've ever played with, I think. Technically, that guy was absolutely frightening and doesn't get enough plaudits because I think he went to Rangers when he did. So I think that there kind of like angered a lot of fans, and he never really got the, you know what, Nicky Law was a player for us for that reason. But if you look back at his time at Motherwell and what he did and how he used to play, was scary. And, you know, I watched that thing that Motherwell put on about all Higgy's goals. And another one that goes, I know we can say, you know what, he was a player. But for me, I forgot how many assists Henrik actually got. Looking at that video that was put up of all Higgy's goals, he's assisted most of them.
Aye, Henrik Oyama was. See his debut when he came off the bench.
Yeah,
Nobody knew who he was. He just came for. He might have been on loan for. I don't think he was on loan for Derby. I think he was on loan for sort of a foreign team. He came off the bench, and he's within his first couple of weeks of signing, he'd scored a couple in his debut. He was just scoring 1 and 2 every week for the first sort of 4 weeks, and then you had all the there's a new chef in town stuff and all that, and all the it was. I don't think I've ever seen quite the amount of hype around one Motherwell player at one time than Henrik Oyama was for that sort of couple of months he first arrived.
He was frightening. He could run at you. He could shoot. He could finish. He had skills. He was just dangerous. He was just so dangerous, and he was so dangerous coming off the bench like he was, you know. And I thought I could say when I watched all, you know, Higgy scored loads of goals, and when I watched them all the other day on that clip, I was actually like, wow, like, can't believe how many assists Henrik actually got. And that was only for Higgy. He got loads for Murph and for different people. I think he set me up a few times. So, you know, he was frightening again. But I suppose, in a way, I was fortunate because I didn't. Again, some players need that pressure on them with other players in their position. But I didn't really have a person at the time, especially under Stuart McCall, who was gunning for my position, who could play on that right side. But on that left side, you had Jamie Murphy, you had Henrik, you had Lawsy that could play out there as well at times. And it was frightening because, where do you play Murph? Do you play him up front? He could play up front. He could play 10. He could play coming off the left. He's another frightening player that, that was an absolute joke as well.
Our resident Blue Nose can fill us in a bit more about Mr. Murphy these days. Does that mean will he get a chance at Rangers now?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that ship's just kind of sailed, and I don't think it's through any fault of Jamie's too. I think it was just a terribly timed injury that he got.
Yeah.
I think even if it had come maybe 3 months later for him, I think it would have probably been okay. But I think just coming so soon into Gerrard arriving, it finished him off.
And what's his name on the left, right? The guy from Liverpool on the left-hand side is frightening as well. So, very good player. So, it's, like you say, it just came at the wrong time for him. Would he go back to Motherwell, do you think?
Oh, I think he would.
Do you know what the thing is? It might sound a bit odd, but Motherwell fans obviously we still report on Motherwell now, luckily enough, but fans are split on it. And because I did a piece on it last summer, because Motherwell have been linked to him a couple of times, and they were linked to him last summer before I think he went to Burton, I think.
Yeah.
But Motherwell fans weren't too sure. They were obviously like, oh, he's our top European goal scorer. He was an amazing servant for the club, but as that injury sort of curtailed them, and at that time Motherwell had David Turnbull and Chris Long and a couple of exciting young players. I say that like it was a wee while ago. It was just off the back of Hasty and stuff leaving. But I think Motherwell fans don't really know what to make of it. I think they would accept him if he came in, but I think they would be expecting the world like he was delivering in sort of 2012-13.
Yeah, for me, I also think he was very unfortunate at Brighton as well. I don't think that they gave him a proper chance, especially when he got, played all those games in the Championship, get to the Prem, he never played, or came off the bench a few times. He never really got a chance. So I felt a bit sorry for him then, and then obviously his injuries came at Rangers, and I think while Gerrard's there, I don't think he'll play as much as he'd like to play anyway. Might get a few cup games here and there, but I don't think that unless he does something special in pre-season, I think
with Jamie as well, one of the things that's been kind of forgotten with him, at least at Rangers, is his initial first loan spell.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I think he scored something like 13 goals in that 6 months under Graham Murphy. And that was a Rangers team who were far from good.
Yeah.
And he strolled it. He absolutely strolled it. I personally think he could walk into any team in Scotland out with Rangers and Celtic without any thought.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mull now, they've lost. That's probably one thing that's lacking for this Mull team now. Now that they've lost a couple of the Hartley and Tate and stuff, is they probably lack a bit of experience. It's a good team. It's a good young team, but they don't. I mean, I don't want to hazard guess, but I would say the average age of that team is probably low 20s. I wouldn't be surprised if it's perhaps one of the youngest squads in the Premiership. So having somebody like him in, it's one of those things though, isn't it? It's jobs for the boys and all that, but I mean, having Jamie Murphy, if you played him through the middle, it would be if you keep him fit, he's guaranteed 10, 15 goals a season and similar numbers and assists, perhaps.
Yeah. But that's the other thing as well, and that's why I love the club so much, because with the budget that they have, which is no budget, and with what they do, year in, year out, every single year, they just pull out a team from nowhere, and it's really good to see. You got clubs in that league that are spending top money, and Motherwell just keep pulling out these young boys, keep getting these diamonds from down south. Tommy Aldridge was one of my good mates, and I had a long conversation with Tommy when he was coming to Motherwell. He was asking me loads of questions about that would be a good move and stuff. I said, Tom, if you go up there, mate, you will love it.
Would you be at Bury, was it?
Yeah, at Bury, yeah.
It was really good, Tom Aldred, at that time, because
frightening.
He's in Australia now, isn't he, with Brisbane Roar?
Yeah. The partnership with him and what's the lad? He's at Wigan now.
Oh, Cedric Kipring.
Yeah, them two at the back were frightening.
Mull just seemed to have that knack, and it's going back to sort of your time. It's a bit better now, but you're talking about the players who were freed. They were also nothing.
What's that? Sorry.
But the players were leaving for buttons as well.
Yeah.
At that time, the business model in terms of what Mull's about, in terms of get them in cheap, sell them high, seems to be a bit, because then I think Jamie Murphy, I don't even think Mull commanded much of a fee for him. And
No.
a few others around that time that sort of just went for nothing. And imagine in today's market what you would get for a 24, 25-year-old Jamie Murphy, you'd be making.
Oh, it'd be frightening. It'd be frightening. Or what you'd get today. If we had all the players we had back then, for argument's sake, all in our prime now, your Randolphs, your Tom Hateleys, your Nicky Laws, your Michael Higdons, your Ajamas, your Jamie Murphys, who else was there? Your Sean Hutchinsons. Think of all these guys, that would what fees would be demanded for them now. When we were all flying. That was a good thing. And when you used to look past that team, there wasn't really. We had like two subs maybe, and then the rest were all young boys. And how we all stayed fit and was never injured over 2 seasons with McCall was frightening. Was really, really frightening. And like I say, I just think that we had a bunch of lads that were there and didn't care about the money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't be there. I can tell you that now. So they didn't care. I don't know what it's like now. I think that they might. I would think that they pay more now, looking at their squads and stuff. But at the time, like no one was there for the money because there wasn't any. What we were there for was it was a family. We were a family, and we died for each other on that pitch, and we loved Stuart, and we'd do anything, run through brick walls for him. And we had characters like Laz and Hammy to guide us, and then we had young characters like Hutchie and Simon Ramsden. And then, a character like a leader like Randolph in goal, Hateley right back. We had characters and leaders everywhere on that pitch. Higgy up front. You know what I mean? So it was one of those where we were just fortunate to have a really good group of lads that were actually really good players as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit torn with Stuart McCall. I've been lucky enough to sort of speak to him a few times since taking on this role, but it's I think Mull fans again, see, because of he left for Rangers, and then he got beat in the playoff final in the same season. I'd feel like not all Mull fans. I think a lot of Mull fans obviously respect that he gave Mull golden years, really, Champions League, Europe, every season he was pretty much there. But there's a section as well that obviously the way he left, perhaps similar to Nicky Law, it just soured things a wee bit.
For me, though, with it, I still speak to Stuart now, and for me, with him leaving to go to Rangers, that was always going to happen. Think that man loved that club. That man, he'd bleed blue. Stuart McCall. He loved that club. It was his everything. It was, his pride and everything. If Rangers were playing, if Celtic were playing before one of our games early, you couldn't, he'd be in there, giving them loads. And if Rangers were playing, you couldn't get hold of him because he was watching it in his room. Like when we beat Celtic at home that day, like the man partied. You know what I mean? So you could see.
I wonder why Mull had a bit of a better record over Celtic at that time. That must be. He must have been in there totally hyping you up for these games.
You know what? He wasn't. But he was more stressed. If anything, you look at him, he was stressed because it wasn't a game that he wanted to lose. He wanted to win so bad, so he was stressed. But after when we beat them at home, he was going nuts. Which obviously we had a lot of Rangers fans in that dressing room at the time. So they were all going mental as well. But for me, if that Rangers job would have come up a year before I left, he would have gone. He was always going to go to Rangers if they would have took him. Because who wouldn't? That's like me I'm at Blues, for argument's sake, and then West Brom comes up. I'm going. Because I'm a massive West Brom fan. So if they asked me to go and manage them, I'd be there. Because I may never, ever get that opportunity again. So we'd have to take it. It's like a football player as well. People can say, okay. It's where people are in their career. Me, personally, I didn't want to. I could have gone to Rangers. Ali McCoy was ringing me on before I went to Preston and everything. I could have gone, but for me, I didn't want to go and play in League Two. They were offering unbelievable money, but I didn't want money. I wanted to do something in my career. I was only 25, and money wasn't a priority to me. I wanted to go and win things. I wanted to get a promotion, which was the next thing that I really wanted to do. And that's the reason why, at the time, I went to Preston, because I felt that I'd done everything at Motherwell. I'd had a really good time, and I thought that I could, better my career by doing that. And for me, it was I'm so happy I did it. It was the best thing I ever did, as in the next move for me, because I went on and got a promotion into the Championship and played in the Championship in England, which is something that I always wanted to do. But go down to League Two and play when I've just played in the Champions League, like what's the point in that? Do you know what I mean? What was the point in that for me? But the others, like Lawsy in that, don't forget Lawsy played in the Premier League with Sheffield United. So he's done that. So for him, at his career and where he was, he may have thought, you know what, the money is that's what I want right now. I'm not bothered about going and winning things or playing here or there or here. I just want to make a lot of money now and pay off my house. I'm not saying this is what he did, but I'm just saying could be a reason. Pay off my house and then I'm sound. So players look at things differently. But again, for me, I was never going to leave Motherwell to go and play in League Two. I don't care who they were.
Well,
and that's what I did.
Perhaps you can speak a bit more on it, James, but I think a lot of the selling point for Rangers was you're going to play for Rangers. Perhaps they were signing players at the time that if they'd have stayed in the Premiership, some of them wouldn't get anywhere near a Rangers team. But here there were these guys being offered crazy money for League Two, and it was like, oh well, you can play for Rangers. The facilities were all still the same as a top tier Premiership club. It was that lure. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, I think, see, for the Scottish guys, so your David Templetons and the likes who came to Rangers in 2012, you can completely understand the argument for them, whereas it's Rangers. For guys like Chris here, I can completely see the other side of it, where you've not ticked these other boxes in your career and you want to go and do that. So yeah, it's for me as a Rangers fan, I completely see both sides of it, and I can see why. I mean, for me, obviously, that would be the absolute dream move, and I'd walk over hot coals and broken glass and whatever else. But no, absolutely, I can very much see why the professional decision for somebody could be that I'll go to England and I'll go and sign for Preston and get that promotion, because it's not exactly the easiest league to get promoted out of.
No, League 1 and 2 are probably and the Championship are probably harder than the Prem. Just being honest, to play in. The standard's frightening. It's grueling. Saturday, Tuesday. It's tough. I think the year we got promoted, I played 53 games that season. I played every game. I was joint top with Tom Clark and Paul Gallagher at the time.
Tom Clark's just announced he's leaving Preston, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, yeah.
7 years?
Yeah, 7 years. Absolute top guy as well, leader. Yeah, so he's going. There's not many left now there that was when I was there. Daniel Johnson, Declan Rudd, Paul Huntington, and Galley now, I think. That's it.
There's been a fair few. Like all boys have ended up there. I know. Like now it's.
Is it Molt?
Yeah, Louis Molt's still there now, though he's had an absolutely horrific time with injuries. Like
yeah,
like,
what player he was for Motherwell as well.
Oh, like he was the best striker at Mull since Higdon. Some would argue perhaps better, because not only what he did on the park perhaps wasn't as still very prolific, but I mean it's very hard to get near to the frightening numbers like Higdon was putting up. But off the park that Molt did was really like it was a real big hand for the community. But I think he's just sort of like had about 2 or 3 games, and then he gets injured, and I think he got a really bad knee injury last August now, and he's still on the way back for that. But once he's fit, he'll be a really good player for them. Well, depending if they could go up this year, they're still in the hunt for the playoffs, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. They're still in there, that last playoff spot. So, what is it? 8 or 9 games left for them now. So hopefully they can do it. They deserve it. They've been up and around it every year since I've left. So they definitely deserve it.
One thing you mentioned there was the difference in the kind of Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday in England. And I mean, it's something that a few of the guests we've had on so far have mentioned too. Just how did you find the transition from the English calendar, where it's pretty much constant, to playing in Scotland, where it's typically more just Saturday, Saturday, Saturday?
I enjoyed it a lot more because I was at home a lot more with the family. And at the time when I was at Shrewsbury, we used to travel on the day, so it wasn't so bad. So, you know, I used to be able to spend the time at home with the family and that, and then go to meet the bus at 3, 4, and then we travel to the game or whatever. Or it wouldn't need to be at the ground if it was a home game till 6. So it was okay. But when I went to Preston, that's when I saw a bigger club, more money to do things professionally, and we used to be in hotels before every game. So then it was a different kind of kind of thing. This is like not how professional now starts, but this is a lot different to what I'm used to. So that took some time to get used to. But what also took some time as well was my fitness levels, because I'd come from Motherwell, from only playing a Saturday, and training wasn't as aggressive, wasn't as intense as down south. Went to Preston, and I realised like these young lads are fit, like they were frighteningly fit. And Preston's probably the one club where I've been at where they've all been a joke, like fitness-wise. So to get on par with them took me a season, I would say, my first season. And then when I got used to the training and the fitness regime and training twice a day, every day, getting one day off a week, and all these kind of different things I wasn't used to. Once I got used to that, that's when I really became, again, another step. My second season at Preston was probably where I played some of my best stuff in my career.
That was the season where won the league in the second season, was it?
No, third season.
We got playoffs.
We got to my first season. I think my first season, yeah, it was. We won the playoffs second season. First season, we got to the first round of the playoffs and lost to Rotherham. And then my second season, yeah, we went up. And then obviously third season, we were in the championship. I played a few games, and then I got really injured and was out for the third season for 8 months with injury. And then halfway through that's when I went up to Hibs on the fourth season, halfway through the fourth season.
How was that sort of dealing with injury? Because I know you said obviously at Mull there wasn't everybody I think sort of had like an immunity to injuries almost. There wasn't any serious ones then, but obviously to have one that keeps you out for 8 months probably took a bit of getting used to.
When I spoke to that season that I played 53 times, when I went and seen the specialist, he said to me, you do realise you've played 45 games, or 8 months, shall we say, with a broken shin. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you've played about 45 games with a broken shin. And I said, I did feel pain, but I didn't. As you go through your career as a footballer, you have to train your body to take pain, because if you don't play. Simple as. I think 16, 17 was the last time I played without any pain at all. I mean, you get these little niggles and obviously sore bits in your legs and stuff like that. But it was one of those for me where it was, right, I've got to play. And the pain was getting worse and worse and worse. And then I think that season we went up, it came to like the last 11 games, and the gaffer had said to me, look, please, I'm begging you, get through this season. We'll get it sorted, give you as much time as you need to get it sorted and everything. But I need you. So I said, you know what, yeah, I'll play. He managed me through the week. I didn't really train until a Thursday. I was on pills and all that kind of stuff, painkillers and all that. And it got to the end of that season where it was absolutely throbbing me. And then I went away with Jamaica. So I ended up playing about 75 games that season. Went away with Jamaica to the Gold Cup. And we got to the final as well. So we played every game, group stage, then quarters, then semis, and finals. We played about 10 games out in America, 11 games. So it just wasn't and then at the end of that, my shin had just exploded, I think. And it was just so painful. Got my operation. Was out for 8 months, metal rod in my shin. What I'd done is I'd fractured it, so they were like, "You've got the worst thing you could get. If it was a straight break, we could fix it, and then you'd be back with no pain." So when I came back after 8 months, I was still so painful. I had bolts in my ankle. So when I came back and was training now with the lads, every time I side passed the ball, it clicked the bolt. So that was painful. So I had to go back in and get the bolt out. And even to this day, when I'm running on hard ground, I've got another bolt at the top of my knee to bolt the rod in place. And even now, when I go running, when I come back from a run, my knee's sore, I can't bend down. All these little things as I'm getting older, like because of this bolt and this flipping metal rods in my shin. So it really kind of, that was the end of me. When I went up to Hibs, did really well. I had an unbelievable debut. I think that's the best ever debut I've ever had. I don't know if
2 assists against Dundee United.
Yeah, against, is it Roberts, plays left back?
Andy Robertson.
No, it wasn't Robinson. Is it another Andy Robertson?
Is there another Andy Robertson?
No, it wasn't Robertson. It's he was there. He was there for ages. He's been there for ages. Left back.
Who was he? Left back? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Oh, bollocks. I know
Swear he was captain as well.
Mm-hmm.
Captain. Dixon. That's the one.
Dixon.
Yeah.
You interviewed him a couple months ago.
I know.
Yeah, Paul Dixon. And you know, I loved it because I always used to have a good game when we played against Dundee and Dixon. And when I came up to Hibs, Lenny was like, "Look, I'm thinking about starting you. What you thinking?" Because I'd been injured for so long. And I said, "You know what? Yeah, I'll give you, I reckon I can give you 50, 60 minutes. And he's like, "Right, let me think of it." And then obviously when I got to the game, he's like, "You're playing." And when I saw Dixon was playing, I was thinking, I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll have a bit of this." Like, Dicko's playing. And we'd had banter, like, we were good friends from the past when we played and stuff. I was like, "Yeah, I'll have a bit of him." So the game starts, like, getting my way into it, and then blasted him down the wing, put the ball in, which that was the second one, like, unbelievable debut, and then got injured again. So as I say, when you get injury, you work so hard on that injured spot, everywhere else irrelevant. So I ended up doing my calf and fascia at the same time. So I was out for like 3 months at Hibs. And then when I came back, I was just never the same. And that's really when it kind of started going a bit downhill for me. Yeah, and then when I left there, I had a bit of time off to get that better. And then the following season, I've been speaking with Owen Coyle Senior, and he managed to get me a trial up at St Mirren. So I came up to St Mirren and had a trial. But Stubbsy at the time just wasn't interested, so I didn't hear anything back from that. And then from that, I just thought, you know what? This is me, I'm done, kind of thing. I kind of fell out of love with football a little bit. And I'd always said to my missus, like, the minute I fall out of love with football is the minute I'm done. I'm not playing football when I don't enjoy it. That wasn't me. And then that was kind of it, really, for me with football. And then obviously I came back and played for East Kilbride.
Now, just on your Hibs stuff, obviously Neil Lennon's back at Celtic. How did you sort of find him? Because he's obviously a very intense character and well-known figure now in Scottish football.
Love Lenny. Not got one bad word to say about Lenny. Intense, yes. Aggressive, yes. Absolute nutcase, yes. But like I said earlier in this interview, I loved all that. That was that. For me, I loved it. And the best thing I can say about Lenny is you'd walk past him in the hall and be like, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" Obviously, I'm making this very clean. You can imagine what he would actually be saying. But he's aggressive. He's in your face. "What are you doing? How come you're in at this time?" Like, "Lenny, it's only 8:45. We don't have to be until 9. So get in there and have your breakfast." "All right, sound." In you go, have your breakfast. Come out of the breakfast bit. Walk down the path, like the hall again. 20, 30 minutes later, he passes you again. "You all right, Chris? How are you? You all right, mate? Nice to see you. I hope things are well. How's the family?" So he's kind of switched from this guy who's, but that was him. Demanding on the pitch, yeah. I think there was an incident when, I think it was my third training session with him, when he demanded something off one of the players. They couldn't handle it. And I went to storm in. And this is my flipping third session with Hibs. And I've run over and I've gone, where are you going? Like, you're not storming in. I kind of grabbed him and took him back on the pitch because for me, it's like, he's just passionate. Like, if you can't handle that with football, then football ain't the right place for you. You know what I mean? Do you think Beckham would go mad or Giggs would go mad when Fergie's chucking stuff, booting balls and all that kind of stuff? Do you know what I mean? It's part of the game. And I think that people, again, with him, people mistake anger for passion sometimes. And when he runs on the pitch and he does all what he does, it's passion for me. Yeah, okay, he'll do it to wind up people. But let's be honest, any manager, all managers do it. If they feel that they can win a game or they feel that they can wind up the other team and they're going to react, get a red or whatever, you're going to do it. You're going to do whatever you're going to do to win that game. That is football, and that's what I've learned through football. Like I said, with me, when I wanted to water the pitch and I wanted to scuff it all up and stuff, you do what you do. You do what you have to win. That's what's always put into you as a footballer. When you go on the pitch, do what you can, fairly, but you do what you can to win, whatever it takes.
Just speaking of Lennon there, I've told you this before, Ben. There was a reserve game at Hibs, which I'm sure you played in, against Rangers, when he's the only manager I have ever seen be asked to leave the side of the pitch from a game that he wasn't involved in. Because I
was
believe
that at the training ground?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Billy Gilmore got sent off.
Yeah. That was like, because I'd only just came to Hibs. I was playing on Saturdays for the first team and I was involved and stuff, but he was asking me to play in the reserves as well to get my fitness up. And I remember that game, yeah. You know what, though? What I liked about him the most? If you played for Lennon, he had your back 100%. He would back you until the cows came home. Even if it was your fault, he would back you. Because I think who did we play? We played, I can't remember who we played, but it was at Hibs. It was a home game in the Championship. And we played a team, and you must have heard about it.
Jim Duffy.
Huh?
His fight with Jim Duffy.
It kicked off massively, yeah, and it come all the way into the players' tunnel, all the way back to like the change room. No one could hold him back. He's going nuts. Why was he doing it? Protecting one of his players because there was a mad, horrendous challenge on one of our players, and he was going mad, and it all kicked off from then. But he protected his players. He loved a night out. Everybody knows that. If we go out, he'd turn up. Lad, I just came to buy you some drinks. That's all you say. You just came to buy a drink. He'd buy all the lads drinks, and then you just go home. Like, do you know what I mean? These are the things that, like, people just look at him on the side when he's got his snooze in and he's going nuts. Oh, look at him, what an idiot. But, and you know what? I might have been one of those guys when I used to look at him when I was at Motherwell or whatever, thinking, this guy's crazy. But when you actually play for him, he's not crazy. He's just passionate. He just wants to win. And when you've done things in your career like he has and won things like he has, that mentality is never going to change. Barry Ferguson's the same. Kelty Hearts have been there this season. He's exactly the same. He's exactly the same as Lennon. Goes nuts at half time if you're not putting the work in. Why? Because he wants to win. Even at that standard, he wants to win the league. He wants to win the cup. He wants to win everything. Doesn't care what it is. He wants to win a race in training. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember him and Big Bob Malkin had a race to pick up the cones. He wanted to win. This is the passion.
What cones was it? Was it ice cream cones with Bob?
No, just cones on the floor, but he wanted to win. Obviously, Bob's slow and his ankles are both broken and whatever else has happened to him, but the gaffer didn't help. The point is the gaffer didn't want to help. He used to train. He used to join in sometimes. He used to demand whoever was on his team because he wanted to win. Like, do you know what I mean? That's the difference. I think that some people flirt on that line of he's crazy, he's an idiot, he's this. When it's not, he's just built a certain way.
You see, the fair to Lennon, since he's came back up here, sort of his second spell, he has gradually mellowed out now. Like, I know, obviously, speaking to like journalists and stuff, he's not as newsworthy because obviously you get a Lennon. Obviously, he's not losing as much as he was in his first spell.
Yeah.
And like, even if like they have a bad result or stuff, he's just very calm now, and he probably still. I mean, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. He's probably still as mental, but at least on the face of it, he definitely seems a bit calmer and a bit more assured.
Thing is with Lenny, he openly came out to us when I was at Hibs and said that, you know, his bipolar was quite bad and he's getting medication and that. So I believe that obviously he's got the right stuff to help him now, because like you say, I have seen interviews of him as of late, and he has been calmer. He has been a different Lenny, and it's so nice to see that, you know, he's and that, you know, the way he used to get, it won't be healthy for him, because as you get older, I'm not saying he's old, but as you get older, you just can't be losing that. You know, Glenn Snodden used to tell me that all the time. You know, Simon Grayson's assistant at Preston, he said, my passion sometimes takes over, and when I get home, I can feel my heart racing because my blood's been boiling because I've been mad and I've been going crazy at usually at half time. But then on the bus home and that, I don't feel well because, you know, as you get older, you just can't do it. It's like I worried every time Archie Knox shouted at someone. I used to worry for him. And Craig Brown. Craig Brown could lose it. Every time he lost it, I used to, whoa, calm down, Gaffer, calm down. Do you know what I mean? Because the last thing you want to do is hurt someone because you didn't play well.
Few characters like them kicking about. Obviously, one of your other spells wanted to talk about was Bury. Obviously, it's been how have you thought? How that's just been an absolute travesty what's happened to that.
Yeah, as you can notice, I said to you after St Mirren and that was it for me. I called it a day, but it wasn't. Obviously, I went to Bury, but just the worst time I've ever had in football, and I've kind of wrote that off. I've kind of wrote that off in my career. Obviously, I can't write that off. I did get a relegation, as you say, and stuff on my CV, which I'm gutted about because it's one thing I never ever wanted to get. And Clark, for me, was just, we just didn't see eye to eye. He didn't like me, didn't get on with me.
Is that former Kelly? Former Kelly boss Lee Clark?
Yeah. Some player, though, for Newcastle and that. Absolute footballer, but as a manager, is clueless. But I'll show you as an example. So I'd come in, I'd not been fit. I'd been injured for so long. He signed me. He knew that I wasn't fit. So we did pre-season. I was running. I was last in all the running and everything. I hadn't ran, remember. I've just come back from my injury. And I told him, look, it's going to take me 3 weeks to get fit. You'll have me fit for, 3 or 4 games into the season, and then you'll have me for the season. Come in. After about 2 weeks of me being there, he's trying to get rid of me. So I'm on a year contract, trying to get me out the door because I'm not fit, which he knew that before he signed me. 6 weeks later, into pre-season, coming to the end of pre-season, and him and I had a bust-up the day before, so he called me into the office, and we'd had an argument, but I won the argument. So I'd left the argument and I'd won, and he knew I'd won because he couldn't come back with anything. So the next day, he calls me into his office and he goes, right, into the video analysis room. So I'm thinking, all right, okay, we're going to have another bust-up here. Here we go. Calls the fitness man in. Jim Henry. You must know Jim Henry, right?
Yep.
Fitness guy. Yeah, I love Jim. Top guy. Calls me and Jim in. Come on, Jim. In we go. And so anyway, we get in there. Clark comes in. His assistant comes in. And we sat there and he just shouts over to the guy, play. So anyway, I see in the bottom corner, 30 minutes. I'm thinking, oh my God, we're watching 30 minutes. So basically, he'd made a 30-minute video of all the bad stuff I've done in training. So he pressed play. So I'm running down the wing, across the ball, and he goes like behind the goal. So he stops it. Played in the championship. You had played the championship. Look at that. That's rubbish. Play. Plays it again. Next one. I'm dribbling at someone, get tackled. He's like, what? Quality player? You ain't no quality player. Play. Like I'm someone else tackles me. Jamaican international. You're an international. What? No. Play. Like, do you know what I mean? This just went on for 30 minutes, right? And at the end of it, I just said to him, was that meant to break me or something? Because if you're trying to break me, you picked the wrong guy. I said, too much things have happened in my life where football doesn't matter to me. So if you're, as in that way, do you know what I mean? So if you're thinking you're going to send me home upset, or I'm going to get upset, or I'm going to kick my toys out the pram, or I'm going to do something where you can release me out of my contract, then you've got the wrong guy. Because all I'll do is I'll go, Jim, me and you, I won't train or anything. I'll just go with Jim for 2 weeks and work on my fitness. I know I'm not fit enough. didn't play into his hands or anything. And he was really took back by that, shocked, because that wasn't the reaction he wanted. And 3 weeks later, what happened? He comes up, he'll never play for me again. 3 weeks later, comes up to me, goes, we're changing the shape. I'm going to play with wing backs, like a five at the back. I spoke to Simon Grayson, who was your manager at Preston. He tells me that you were fantastic for him in that position. I'm thinking about starting you on Saturday.
Where
I just went
at that point, because obviously he's been a bit of a dick, and at that point, I mean, you're within your rights, I think, there to just go, no, I'm not doing that.
Thing is, though, that's the thing, though, with football. I'm a professional, so obviously for me, you should have seen how happy I was inside. I didn't show him that I was happy. I just went, right, okay, no worries. And I got on with my gym session that I was doing my gym. But inside, I was dying. I wanted to burst out laughing because you put me through all that and then 3 weeks later, you need me to play. Like, it's just one of those ones where it happens all the time in football. But for me, it was just, okay, I've proved him wrong now. Now it's time to prove him wrong on the pitch. And I went on and did okay. But yeah, that just sums up my time at Bury. Didn't get paid for 4 or 5 months. Getting paid late. Still owed money, but obviously gone bust now, so we'll never see that ever again. So it was just one of those things where it was just a horrendous time there. And was glad to just get out of there at the end of the season. And a lot of the players there we had players in there that were on like 10, 15 grand a week in League, what was it, League One at the time? Crazy.
I know that's where Mull, obviously going back to Tom Aldred, Mull, I think he's out of contract at Bury, but Mull weren't able to get anywhere near the wages Bury were paying him, despite the fact that probably any other League One, League Two team around that area probably paying similar wages, maybe a wee bit more than Mull. Bury's wages were just up here. Just
they were a joke. We had big hitters there. We had Jermaine Beckford that was there. Do you know what I mean? We had Neil Dans. We had Joe Murphy, the goalkeeper. Like, we had some big hitters. Aldred came in on big money. He was at Blackpool the year before, captain. Do you know what I mean? Came on big money. Jay O'Shea. Like, we had some big hitters, big earners.
I think Jordan Rossiter was on quite big money when he went down on loan as well. Yeah,
Ripley came in, like, the keeper. So we had, like, it was a joke. And they all had, like, 2-3 year contracts. So when I left after that year, like, it was just a weight off my shoulders.
That's just a complete dead space now, because I know there was, like, there was talk, I don't know, I've not really kept up with this all that's going on, but, like, they had the Phoenix Club trying to get going. But is that just went cold now?
No, I think they're going into something like Tier 8 or something like that. So they had hopes to get this additional EFL spot or get a place in the National Leagues, and they weren't having it.
Yeah.
They climbed the pyramid like everybody else.
It's quite a shame, because they were one of English football's more historic football league clubs, really, up until sort of August. I remember Bolton as well nearly went the same way. Managed to scrape it, but just shows you know what I mean. Couple of big earners, and that'll be you. I mean, facing. I think it's just as well a story of like what can go wrong with the money getting circulated in those leagues now. I mean, you'll probably have more insight to it than us, Chris, but it just seems to be utter silly money at some clubs, despite the fact.
Oh yeah, ridiculous, and that's why again, like. I love Motherwell. I love the structure that they've done it with the Well family, the Well Society. You know, because when that first started, we weren't on any sort of money to be not giving money away, but to be putting money into things. But every single player at that football club, when I was there, put money into that Well Society when it first started, and did it until we left. Do you know what I mean? So, because we saw the benefits of it, and they're thriving from it now, Motherwell.
I mean, it's been a real big success. I think it's something they've carried on with some players. I know there's a few of them. Who was it? Might have been Liam Grimshaw. I don't know if you played with him at Preston.
Yeah, Grimmy at Preston, yeah.
Liam Grimshaw bought like a pretty big stake in it and stuff. So players definitely, I think, at Mull especially, I think they sell. Mull are very good at selling a vision. just what they don't have to offer in finances, they can pretty much offer in every other department.
Yeah, which they can, 100%.
Obviously, with the end of your career, you've sort of bobbed around the Lowland League. Wanted to ask you as well, just as a young coach, obviously the big discussion now has sort of been on the Black Lives Matter stuff and the representation of sort of black and ethnic minority coaches. What are your sort of takes on that, just as somebody coming into the coaching field from that background?
Well, I'm just trying to do it the right way. I'm literally at the end of a B licence now, just waiting for football to start up again so I can get out there and coach. The instructors can come and watch me coaching and stuff, and then just finish that off. But it's one of them where now I just want to go into management in lower and get experience. And then maybe at the end of next season, once I've got a season of experience of managing, is do my A licence. And then once I've got that in the summer, I'd like to get 3 or 4 years of experience managing before I even think about doing my pro licence. Because I see some coaches now, they're just rushing through in it. Do their B1 summer, do their A the next, do the pro the next. And it's like you've got no experience in between. You can have a pro licence. All these coaches can have a pro licence and never flipping and never managed, but just go straight into it. Whether you've got a pro licence or whether you've got a level 2 licence, if you're going to go straight into something with no experience, I don't see what the difference is. Oh, yes, okay, you might be a bit more technically better with the actual coaching down and laying out a session. What experience, more experience are you going to have than what I will have on a B licence if you haven't managed before?
Well, obviously, perhaps didn't work out for you as well as like your spell at Gretna. And I mean, perhaps it didn't go quite the way you would have wanted it to in the end, but it is that experience of you've been a senior environment with men, proper men, and having to deal with that instead of like, I know some people just sort of bounce about youth coaching stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you've obviously had proper first-hand experience at senior level.
Thing is as well, at Gretna, I'll be honest, I took that job and I quickly found out that I had both hands tied behind my back, I blindfold on, and I was getting tripped up along the way. Do you know what I mean? That's how tough that job was. But you know what? I loved that job. I absolutely loved it. I loved the challenge of trying to find players for between £20 and £50 a week. That's what they were getting a game. And it wasn't even a week. They weren't on contract. So they were just getting that if they played. Didn't get anything if they were on the bench and didn't come on. They got their money if they played. And still, I managed to motivate them to come to training every week and to give me everything. And let's be honest, anyone will tell you if they came and watched Gretna in pre-season, we were flying. We'd brought in some really good players from around the area. I'd put on a trial and got some good players through a trial as well. I got some players travelling from Glasgow down because I wanted to play for me. And we built a really, really good team. We played Motherwell. I don't know if you were there.
That's where I first met you. I did a piece with you there before that, and it just seemed, you just seemed to be in a good place.
Yeah.
With your management thing, obviously enthusiasm. I'll not talk about the scoreline in that game. The one.
To
be fair, you gave a Motherwell player a contract off the back of that game. Don't know if you mind the boy Manzinga scored the overhead kick.
Yeah.
You got a 1-year deal at Motherwell off the back of that overhead kick.
But if you remember that first half, we didn't play badly.
No.
It was more the second half when I changed my team and put 6-7 young boys on. Because my team had played 2 games before that in that week. So I played my first team that I would call my first team first half. And then I just played my young boys in the second half. But for me, in the first half, I thought that we really stood up to Motherwell. And then literally, first game of the season, what happened? I had 10 injuries. I had 10 injuries going into that first game. And so it was really tough because then I couldn't replace them. So it was just a really tough time. And then the way that they did it, the way that they sacked me was after the Kelty Hearts game in front. Like, they took me into the referee's room and sacked me while all the Kelty Hearts backroom staff were there. So they heard everything. So we were telling, when I signed for Kelty, they were really shocked that Gretna did it that way because we could hear them sacking you and everything in the referee's room. And then they said to us, do you want to get the bus back or the train? And we left the ground and we were like, well, obviously the bus because I meant to get a train. And then on the way back to Gretna, they were pulling the players that I brought in down to the front, and I'm sat three rows back from the chairman, and he's speaking to them. about the new manager, and would they want to still play for that manager when I'm gone? But I'm sat there hearing it all. So
that's just, for me, it's just, obviously, it's lower Scottish football. I bet you there's more than one tale of things like that. It's just the lack of professionalism at that level that can sometimes crop up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's obviously, that's a very prime example of it, and it probably happens a bit more often the further you go into sort of junior football and amateur football.
Yeah. No, and I've just found that out here. I don't know if have you heard of Kendal Town?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I interviewed. I put my application in for Kendal Town because they've just, they didn't have a manager and were looking for a manager. Because I thought, right, brilliant, great standard to go back into. Workington's league, good standard, good amount of games, everything. I'd love an opportunity in that league to get back into it and get some experience, finish off my B and see what I could do there with the contacts. Now, my contacts will broaden now because I'm down here. I've got France, I've got Preston, I've got Stuart at Bradford, I've got Darren Moore at Doncaster. One of my close friends has applied for the Sheffield United under 23 job. So I had really good contacts to bring in some players or get friendlies or whatever. I put a nice proposal to them. I put it in. My agent spoke to the chairman a few times saying, we'd like to get what could Chris offer. Put a detailed email in with everything we could offer. I even said I found a sponsor to pay my wages so you wouldn't have to pay me. Because that was another thing they'd be thinking, well, it's Chris Humphrey, we're never going to be able to afford him. So I even said, you don't have to pay me. I've got a sponsor that's going to pay my wages. The next thing, the chairman emails my agent, says, right, can you put that all in writing? That sounds really, really good. A day later, I saw that they appointed they appointed a manager that's never played, got no coaching badges, just a normal guy. I didn't even get an interview. You know what I mean? I didn't even get an interview, and
incredible.
The email that let me go off my phone. I'll read you the email that I got. So, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the reply I got. I got back from the club. We regret to inform you that after much close consideration and after looking through your clients and other recruitment documentation, we have decided not to take your client on as manager of our first team. Then they put, whilst they have not been accepted for this position, we don't want to lose your clients as people who are interested in helping out at the club. A list of other positions available will be posted on our Facebook page.
On Facebook. There you go. Whack onto social media. Whack is all your good contacts. Preston, Bradford. There you go.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But my thing was to my agent is the lack of disrespect is what are these other clubs? What are these other positions? Sorry, kitman, ball boy. What are these positions that you're offering me? Do you know what I mean? Because the manager's job and the assistant job is gone. So what are these other what are the other positions? It's just crazy. So I just couldn't believe it. I've done it professionally. We did it over email. I got my agent to do it all. Sent it directly to the chairman. And they gave it to someone without coaching badges, never played, nothing, just a normal person. So it was just like, wow, it's just going to be difficult, I think, to just get that opportunity.
I think that's just the case for a lot of young coaches like yourself. It's
100%.
It's much the same for a lot of I don't mean just in football. I mean it can be joinery or it can be as a waitress. People want experience, want experience of the job, but nobody is willing to give. It's like what you meant to do.
Yeah, and I'm not going to even say it's because it's because I'm black, so I'm not getting the opportunity. I'm not even going to say that because I've got a lot of friends that have gone for coaching opportunities or coaching positions and are just getting the same in the non-league, are getting the same sort of thing. So I'm not even I wouldn't even say it's because of that. I just think it's just a lack of understanding from their board. I found out that person that sent me that email is 17. Yeah.
What? How?
So their secretary's 17 years old.
Jesus Christ.
See, to be fair, I did reporting for like a wee junior team down here, and I was 17. But like, surely they shouldn't be panning off their manager role to be like somebody that's probably not even out of school.
Exactly, but this is what I mean. So until obviously these and let's be honest, they don't have the money to get a proper, secretary and stuff. They may not have the money to do that, but still, for me, you would word it a lot better than did, and you wouldn't say things like there are off other positions in the club to give you, like, straight away you're going to think, well, what are they?
Mm-hmm. Maybe you should go and ask what they are. Maybe scout you in.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That's crazy. Yeah. Really appreciate
you. You got a job as secretary.
Would you? What age are you now?
I'm 32, so I'll be 33 in September.
Would you be old enough to be his dad? I don't think you would. I think you would just...
Maybe. I know some who had 14, 15-year-olds, so...
I'm wanting to stay within the law here and try and keep this podcast on there, so... have you got anything to add, James?
No, I'm good.
Chris, really appreciate your time. Obviously, you spoke a bit about your hopes for coaching, but I'm assuming that's the road you're aiming to go down as the future goes on.
Yeah, it is. I really enjoyed it at Gretna, and to be honest, my experience there when I left at the time, I thought, you know what, really isn't for me. If this is how it's going to be the whole time, it's not for me. But since I've not been doing it for 6-7 months, I've really missed it. And to now hopefully get another opportunity by the time the season starts would be fantastic for me. So I would love to get back in it and give it, another shot and see how I could do. And I think if it was down in England, I'd have more player base. I think in Gretna, there's absolutely no players there. No one wants to travel from Glasgow to Gretna. So you just get in the pool of players that are in Carlisle, Gretna, and if there are any players in Carlisle, they're at Carlisle. So it's just very difficult to build a good enough squad to compete, really. So yeah, if I can get a job down here, I think that it will. I think that I could do a really good job, and for me, I would bring in a really good coach with me that's experienced, because you've got to look. Part of being a good manager is realising what you're not good at or what you're not experienced at in different departments. And obviously, I wouldn't be experienced in coaching because I've only just started. So if I could bring in someone that's very experienced in coaching, I think that'd be really good. I could do a really good job.
Brilliant. Well, I've got nothing to add, Chris. Thanks very much for your time.
Okay, no problem. Anytime.